afternoon and welcome to Border Report Live. I'm Sandra Sanchez. Rudy Mireles is off on this Good Friday. We thank you for joining us. We've got a lot of immigration news from across the country today. Starting in Camp East, Montana. We start in West Texas, where an inspection at the nation's largest immigration detention facility found dozens of violations of national standards that potentially exposed detainees to excessive force, disease, and other unsafe conditions. The Associated Press reports Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Office of Detention Oversight performed a congressionally mandated inspection over 3 days in February at Camp East, Montana in El Paso. A report recently posted online by ICE documents 49 deficiencies. Those include violations of detention standards or policies in areas that include the use of force and restraints, facility security, medical care, and more. This was the first inspection released by the office since Camp East, Montana was quickly built at Fort Bliss last summer. Families of detainees and immigration advocates have complained about the care of those held, and since mid-December, 3 migrants have died. On to ICE warehouses, because aside from the tents that DHS uses to house migrants, they also use massive warehouses, as we've spoken about many times on this show. But new reports out say that the Department of Homeland Security is putting a stop to buying any new warehouses to use as detention centers. Our colleagues at WPIX in New York are reporting that warehouses that are already bought will reportedly come under scrutiny as well. The Department of Homeland Security has spent billions of dollars buying up massive warehouses from across the country with plans to convert them into detention centers. Residents in Roxbury, New Jersey are split on the need for a detention center in their township.
I'd be happy if it doesn't come. I only live like 2 miles from the place, so I'm not thrilled about it. So it's fine with me if they don't come.
I do not want to see it because I think it's going to cause quite a stir in the towns. It's already been a problem, so and I don't think it's gonna be a good thing.
So would you like to see DHS pull the plug on this?
Yes, love to.
I don't mind it being in town. I fully support all law enforcement, including ICE. I think their job is critical to the security of our nation, so I'm not opposed at all. I think we need to do our fair share.
Interesting. In many instances, DHS has reportedly paid more than the asking price or appraised value of the properties. Now, NBC News is reporting that it's not clear yet whether new Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen will change the direction of immigration enforcement and detention. Immigration crackdowns and border security remain an important issue for President Trump, but a new poll gave him poor marks on immigration. So far, DHS has purchased 11 warehouses nationwide, with the agency setting aside over $38 billion for the properties. That's a lot of money. And medical examiners have ruled that the death of a nearly blind refugee from Myanmar 5 days after Border Patrol left him at a Buffalo, New York donut shop was a homicide. The finding from the Erie County Medical Examiner's Office was released on Wednesday. The agency didn't reach any conclusions on who killed Nural Amin Shah Alams, and medical examiners said it was caused by complications of a perforated duodenal ulcer. That's an ulcer in the small intestine, which a rupture is said to be sudden and extremely painful. His death was also attributed to hypothermia and dehydration. Now, U.S. Customs and Border Protection says Shah Alam showed no signs of distress, mobility issues, or disabilities requiring special assistance when agents dropped him off February 19th at a restaurant. Quote, "This death had nothing to do with Border Patrol," DHS said in a February 27th social media post that the border agency also cited on Wednesday. And a Las Vegas woman is back living in the Eastern European country of Moldova that she fled almost 2 decades ago. Like so many others, she showed up for her latest immigration hearing only to be arrested. Reporter Joshua Peguro has her story.
So I interviewed Diana Bunarchik's family as they were trying to free her from the Henderson Detention Center. ICE agents arrested her in Las Vegas during an immigration hearing for a green card. But since I spoke with them, she was transferred to another facility and then deported, dashing all hopes of her release. Diana Bunarchik arrived to the United States in 2008 from Moldova, claiming political asylum. But in 2017, her claim was denied and a removal order was issued. In 2019, she exhausted all her appeals.
I totally understand, policies and rules and all that. And again, that's why we followed everything to a T when it came to the process. And, as a Marine veteran, I just would like the help.
At the time we spoke with Patrick Baja, his wife was sitting in the Henderson Detention Center. He reached out to all of Nevada's congressional leaders for help. Baja had filed what's called an I-130 in 2020. It kicks off the process of getting a green card for a spouse based on marriage. Her attorney, Darren Heyman, says they waited 5 years for an immigration interview, and when they received one, ICE agents arrested her.
She would otherwise be entitled to a green card in this country. She entered legally, okay? She has zero criminal record. We just want her to be given the same process that has been given to lots of people before.
I asked Attorney General Aaron Ford, who has filed several lawsuits against the Trump administration, about this ICE arrest.
I have been clear that as the Nevada Attorney General, I represent the entirety of the Nevada family. And I mean that. I don't care if you've been here for 3 generations or for 3 days. If you live in the state of Nevada, I'm your Attorney General, and I am going to stand up for your rights. The fact is, what we're seeing happening is atrocious across the nation. ICE is out of hand.
Now, Bunarchik left 2 children behind who were born in Las Vegas. Her attorney says immigration is still sitting on her I-130 green card application. I have reached out to ICE several times to learn more about her arrest and deportation, but they have yet to respond. Back to you.
The woman's husband said he reached out to all of Nevada's congressional leaders for help as well. And on to West Texas and New Mexico, where thousands of Christians are expected to climb a holy mountain on the border in New Mexico on this Good Friday. Throughout the day, a steady stream of pilgrims made their way up the winding trail leading to the shrine of Christ the Redeemer. It is also known as Mount Cristo Rey, and I've been there and covered stories there. It's a 2.3-mile rocky climb, but the faithful say it's worth the effort. Some even climb or go on their knees at the top of the mountain. Many pray and light candles at the foot of the 29-foot-tall limestone statue. Mount Cristo Rey sits atop the mountain that straddles Mexico, New Mexico, and it can also be seen from El Paso's Interstate 10. It is quite a sight. All right, we are going to take a short commercial break. When we return, we have lots more to tell you about on Border Report Live, so stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Border Report Live. I'm Sandra Sanchez. President Donald Trump says he'll soon sign an order to pay all Department of Homeland Security employees who have gone without paychecks during this partial government shutdown. We are now at day 49. He announced his decision in a social media post on Thursday. He continues to blame Democrats for the impasse while thanking Republican leaders for their work this week in trying to end the standoff. Trump is a Republican, and he used a similar maneuver to resume pay for the Transportation Security Administration. If you'll recall, Trump's latest intervention is expected to apply to other non-law enforcement employees at the department, including the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the U.S. Coast Guard. Speaking of Trump in his cabinet, Attorney General Pam Bondi has been fired after sources say President Trump had grown frustrated with her. Trump had grown, quote, more and more frustrated with Bondi, a person familiar with White House deliberations said of the Attorney General, adding that while he likes her as a person, he did think she executed on his vision in the way that he wants. 2 of the sources told NBC News that Trump and Bondi had a heated confrontation at the White House last week, although they did not specify what it was about. Quote, Pam Bondi is a great American patriot and a loyal friend who faithfully served as my attorney general over the past year. Pam did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across our country, with murders plummeting to their lowest level since 1900, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Bondi was a fierce defender of the president, especially during congressional hearings, and has been under increasing scrutiny due to her handling of the Epstein files. She is the second cabinet member fired in weeks. Last month, the president fired Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. And a 74-year-old South Texas woman spent more than 3 weeks in an ICE detention center. San Juanita Guerra, a grandma, has been a legal permanent resident for nearly 4 decades. But a walk across an international bridge changed her life in the blink of an eye. Our reporter Jorge Vela was there as her family welcomed her home.
Okay. A long-awaited homecoming made possible by a $15,000 bond. San Juanita Guerra returns change, wearing an ICE ankle monitor and carrying fear, as she was detained by federal agents for more than 10 hours at the Progreso International Bridge on March 2nd while trying to cross back, something she says she's done many times before.
I feel free, but afraid, because I don't know if they might do it again. If they were able to do it from '94 until now, what can I expect might happen in the future? The truth is, I am afraid.
Guerra says she forgot her permanent resident card at home, but contacted family to bring proof. Instead, she was fingerprinted, and officials flagged a 1994 case involving an unloaded gun Guerra claims she used for protection found in her purse at an airport. She says she was carrying it by accident, saying she was afraid to leave it at home because of her children.
There was that record of mine, but I had already paid for it. I settled it with 6 months of probation. I was given community service hours.
She was then handcuffed and taken to El Valle Detention Center in Raymondville. Guerra says she was held with more than 150 women, among the oldest and the only permanent resident. She describes harsh conditions, poor sleep, missed medications, missed medical care despite heart and kidney issues, and even a lack of basic necessities like water.
I realized there was no water. It had run out and they hadn't brought more. Then they started complaining that there wasn't any, and the people in charge of watching them told them, "There's water there." And they said, "What water?" And he told them, "There, in the toilets."
Guerra says I still has her resident card, adding to her family's fear and uncertainty.
I think they should give it back to me when I finish dealing with all that. That's what I think. And if not, then I'll fight for it and see what happens.
Her daughter said faith kept them going, but the fear remains.
My brothers, one another, pastor would always call me. "Everything's going to be okay. Your mom's going to come out. She hasn't done anything." That was many years ago.
My mom is basically not from here at all. She doesn't have anything with her to prove nothing but that ankle bracelet. That's all she has. And I'm scared they take her again.
Her attorney, Wendolyn Rodriguez, calls this a complex case with a great chance of success. For now, Guerra must report monthly here with ICE starting on April 8th. And while she worries about the woman she left behind, her own legal battle is just beginning.
I was so surprised by the great affection they showed me. So big, very, very big. Because they all came to say goodbye to me with a hug and a kiss, telling me not to forget them. And I told them, just let me arrive and regain my strength, and I will pray for you.
Working for you in Harlingen, I'm Jorge Vela.
Thank you, Jorge. Now, that area is just down the road from us. Here, we're in Harlingen in Deep South Texas. Guerra's hearing is scheduled for April 15th here. U.S. Customs and Border Protection said Guerra was released from ICE custody 23 days after an immigration judge granted her request for bond. They said that possessing a green card is a privilege, not a right, and that lawful permanent residents can be deported for certain criminal convictions, including aggravated felonies, firearm offenses, crimes involving moral turpitude, controlled substance offenses, sex offenses, and domestic violence. Also here in South Texas, a number of immigrant rights groups held a news conference Thursday to discuss the condition inside facilities like the one Guerra was held in. And there are concerns about another facility here. There are reports that pregnant migrant children are being sent to a detention facility here in the Rio Grande Valley and that they are not receiving proper medical care. I went to the facility, which is owned and operated by Urban Strategies in San Benito, Texas. Now, Urban Strategies is a for-profit company contracted by the federal government to care for unaccompanied minors who cross the border without a parent or guardian. Migrant advocacy groups yesterday said some pregnant teens were brought here in shackles, some were bleeding, some as young as 13 were pregnant. Yvonne Gutierrez, executive director of reproductive Freedom for All says these are high-risk pregnancies because of their age, and she says the girls need specialized care, which she says is not available in this region.
And earlier this year, it was reported that the Trump administration was sending unaccompanied pregnant immigrant youth to a detention center in South Texas. As a Texan myself, I was horrified to hear that these children, some as young as 13 and many pregnant as a result of sexual assault, were shuttled in the middle of the night to a single facility in San Benito, Texas. This administration continues to raise the ceiling on their cruelty. And it's not just DHS. HHS is also complicit. Instead of protecting these children, whose pregnancies are high risk by definition, HHS has coordinated with DHS to deprive young girls of abortion care and intentionally strand them in a healthcare desert in a state with an extreme and hostile abortion ban.
The report was released by a public media collaborative between the California newsroom and the Texas newsroom. It was after a 6-month investigation. It says at least a dozen pregnant migrants have been brought here to the shelter in San Benito since the end of July. And the report says that's despite objections by federal health welfare officials who worried that the facility and the Rio Grande Valley region lack the specialized care that they need. Now, this facility is under the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement, which oversees unaccompanied migrant youth. We've talked about that a number of times. It's not under DHS, it's under HHS. And they cite an internal HHS email by the agency's acting director instructing agency staff to send pregnant children here to San Benito. Texas Civil Rights Project President Rochelle Garza of Brownsville says teens should not be sent here because they aren't getting proper OB visits or care.
The barriers faced by women in Texas prisons are horrendous, and we can see those same conditions are present in federal detention centers, whether it's in ORR, like the San Benito facility, which you've heard about today, which holds pregnant youth just down the street from me, where healthcare is already difficult to access. It is absolutely shameful that this administration continues to treat immigrant individuals, human beings, as subhuman, as unworthy of any kind of healthcare, but especially reproductive healthcare.
In a statement sent to me, the Department of Health and Human Services said that the Office of Refugee Resettlement remains committed to the safety and well-being of all unaccompanied minors in its care. They went on to say that Urban Strategies has a long-standing record of delivering high-quality care to pregnant unaccompanied minors. We're going to take another quick commercial break, but stay with us. Border Report Live will be right back. Welcome back to Border Report Live. I'm Sandra Sanchez. The United States and Mexico have battled over immigration and drug smuggling forever, it seems. Environmental advocates say the two countries also need to address the beach pollution crisis in Southern California. But as our Southern California correspondent Salvador Rivera explains, they also recognize funding is lacking to build sewage mitigation projects there.
And earlier this year, it was reported that the Trump administration
in the Tijuana River Valley. The pretty flowers are seasonal, but the stench and contamination due to the raw sewage, along with the trash that comes in from Mexico, is year-round.
There is a tsunami of plastics, a tsunami of waste tires, and all this pollution coming from broken pipes and now open sewage, and there is no investment in sewage infrastructures.
Faye Crevochet is the Communications and Policy Director for Wild Coast, an environmental group based in San Diego. Crevochet worries the problem is only going to get worse, affecting more and more people in both Mexico and the U.S.
The pollution is not slowing but growing, and it goes all over the ocean, and it will continue to grow. So we don't do something, it will expand to both sides of the border. The ocean has no borders.
9 months ago, both countries signed a memorandum of understanding, pledging to work together to mitigate sewage and the trash problem along the border. But nothing is taking place, according to Crevochet.
Now I see political will in both sides of the border, but they're always the same. Problem is, where is the money coming from?
Crevochet tells Border Report, if meetings, shaking hands, and promises was the answer, the problem would have been solved long ago. She says it's time for the millions of dollars that have been promised for mitigation projects to be delivered.
Not logical, and I don't really understand it. There's no way I can explain it. There is no investment. We know what to do. We know how to solve the problem. It's not rocket science. We just have to invest.
Salvador Rivera, Border Report.
Advocates say the pollution in the Tijuana River and untreated sewage flowing in from Tijuana on a daily basis continues to shut down beaches on both sides of the border, especially during the rainy seasons. You know, I was out there visiting during our border tour when we kicked off Border Report in 2019. I can tell you that it smells really bad. I interviewed the mayor at the time. You know, he was wearing a mask, and it's now 2026, and obviously something needs to be done. All right. The Trump administration confirmed that social media accounts associated with former Border Patrol official Gregory Bovina have been shut down. This came after the Washington Examiner reports Bovino refused to turn them over following his retirement. While serving as commander of the administration's immigration crackdown across the country, Bovino was allowed to post videos of himself tracking down migrants on Instagram, Facebook, and X accounts that belonged to the government. The Examiner reports that once Bovino retired, he refused to give up the accounts, arguing that he had garnered 850,000 followers with the videos and pictures of his work in the field. He said his followers, quote, expected him to post from new sites, and that's according to the Examiner. Now on to a story that we've been wanting to tell you about. His name is Seth Todd. He's known as the Portland Frog for his protests at a South Portland ICE facility. But now he must stay at least 3 blocks away from the building. We'll tell you why. Because last October, Todd was wearing an inflatable frog costume. Yes, that's him. While protesting outside the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement building in Portland, Oregon, when a federal officer fired chemical spray directly onto the costume's air vent. Todd said that while the attention has been overwhelming, he is nonetheless honored to have inspired a movement like this. For protesters like Todd, the costumes are a way of fighting absurdity with absurdity, a playful counter to the president's portrayal of Portland as war-ravaged, quote, burning down and, quote, like living in hell. Portland's ICE building outside downtown was the site of nightly protests that peaked last summer when police declared one demonstration as a riot. All right. Well, we want to remind you that to check out our friends at Political Power Rankers. Political Power Ranker is a weekly show tracking the movers, shakers, and rule makers in American politics. Nexstar's Director of Political Content, Chris Berg, and Director of Emerson College Polling, Spencer Kimball, break down who's up and who's down in the world of politics based on data. Rudy and I love data. This week's episode focuses on the Texas U.S. Senate race and redistricting with new polling from Emerson College. There's also some discussion of California's redistricting plan. So you need to make some time to check this out. You can find more on Political Power Ranker at abc27.com or your local Nexstar station's website. And you can always stay informed on stories shaping the U.S.-Mexico border on Border Report Live. Our website, which I write for and Salvador Rivera writes for and Julian Resendez writes for, brings you real-time updates, expert insights, and voices from both sides of the border. Let me tell you, we try to do our best, and you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the iHeart Radio app and stay connected to the border. We have been doing border reporting since 2019, and we take it seriously. We try to always offer you not opinion, but fact-based reporting, and we try to show as many sides of it as we can. These issues are divisive. People are passionate about it, and we're here to bring you the information. Well, that'll do it for us today. From South Texas, I'm Sandra Sanchez, filling in for Rudy Mireles on this Good Friday. We hope everyone has a wonderful Easter holiday. We will see you all next week. Thanks for joining us on Border Report Live.